The story I'm about to tell you is so crazy, it's not even going to seem like it could even possibly be true. This is going to be a multi-part series, and so this is just going to be part one. So 7 years ago to this day, March 19th, I was initiated into what I was told was an ancient yoga lineage that has been around 2,000 plus years. This ritual that was done on me by a friend who at that time I'd already been friends with for a few years and I had met through Freemasonry. This ritual was a chakra binding, energy transferring, destiny swapping ritual. Because everything that happened to me after that day is absolutely mind-blowing. So, how did I come to meet this person? I myself am an ex-Freemason. I left the order in 2020. During my time in Freemasonry, I made it up to the Worshipful Master of the Lodge. And I was the Worshipful Master for 3 consecutive years. During my time as Worshipful Master, I made it to the 32nd degree of the Scottish Rite Freemasonry. And while I was Master, it was by my hand that I closed the lodge. So I was the last Master of that lodge. And the reason we did so is because our attendance was terrible. We were already losing money and very broke as a lodge. So after this ritual, later that year, my friend and I, friend at the time, traveled to India to actually study yoga in an ashram there. So while I was there, I nearly died from dysentery. I was bedridden and had hives all over my body for 3 days. On New Year's Eve, 2019, I got my phone pickpocketed, and it just so happened the friend that I was with, who did that ritual on me, had connections to a network, as he called it, and he was able to track my phone down through a connection in the network that was in the Indian military. And they told me the day after the phone was stolen, it was located in Rangoon. Now, I know this was a setup from him because everywhere we went while we were in India, he would only wear white. So on that evening, he told these people, the target is going to be beside me and I will be in all white. So that is just the beginning of this crazy story. So when we get back from India, this ashram of enlightened masters of the lineage that I was initiated into, supposed yoga lineage, guided myself and my ex-friend to leave Freemasonry. So I did that. He claimed to have done that, but I know he didn't. When I did that, I was also guided to take all my regalia and burn it, of which I did. When I burned it, I went up to a hilltop where my ex-friend and I used to do rifle trading. It was calm and clear as day. When I lit everything on fire, massive gusts of wind came and just started blowing in out of nowhere. It was the most eerie moment I've ever experienced. This is important to the story because what I'm going to tell you next is a testament to divine protection. So a few days after that, my friend and I, ex-friend, went rifle training into the mountainside where there was an ex-military training course. And we'd already gone up there a few times and we had done some target practice and whatnot. And so when I picked him up that day, something was definitely off. He was an addict of Adderall and he was very just nervous, and I could tell something was off. Like, he was definitely high. And so we went to this training course, and he said, hey, we're going to do this training exercise. Now, it's important to note that he had, or at least he told me he had, military training. And with the previous training we had done, I knew he was an excellent shot. So on that course, there was a foxhole, or basically a wooden box, where a gunner will go inside, and then there's a little slot where the muzzle will come out. And so he said, we're going to do an exercise. You're going to go into the foxhole, and I'm going to cover your rear as like a flanker. So I would be shooting or facing one way, and then he would be facing the opposite way. So because I trusted this guy, we'd already been friends for a few years, I was like, yeah, no problem. Okay, cool. So I go in, and he says, fire. And as soon as I start firing, I see the box shake, and then he screams. Or not screams, but shouts. So I come out of the rear of this foxhole, and he's got blood running down his forehead. And he's swatting at it like this. Like, oh, did a bee sting me? And I was like, no, dude, you're bleeding from the forehead. So luckily I had a first aid kit. I ran up to get the first aid kit. He sutured himself up because he had medical training. Now, when I told this story to a seer or a psychic friend of mine, as soon as I was telling it to her, she said she had heard from her guides that on that day, the forces of light and the forces of darkness were present. And when he fired that round that was intended to take me out, to complete this destiny swap ritual, the forces of good redirected that projectile. I'm not sure if it hit a nail in that foxhole, which was a wooden box that I was in, but that bullet redirected and hit him in the forehead. It's there to this day. Now, I have not been friends with this person for over a year now. And what she had told me is that her guide said that the forces of good redirected that projectile to show the Masons and whatever other group he was involved with what true divine protection looks like. I was saved that day by the grace of God. And that's why I am now telling my story, because what I've experienced from 2019 until the beginning of 2025 is absolutely mind-blowing. There's no way I can make any of this up. And when you hear the full story, you are going to be in utter shock. Because I've experienced the craziest experiences in life the last 6 years. From 2019, starting on this day, March 19th, 2019, until about May of last year. So this is part one in the series of my story. So if you want to hear the rest of it, follow along, like, share, comment, do all the things, and I'll see you on the next one.